Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about the second part of it's a four-part question, so let's get into it. So the question was in relation to someone who has taken a job, thought he was going to work with C Sharp, turns out he's just doing Excel, SSRS, whatever that is, and Windows and the user support stuff. And the second part was, I've noticed that I'm becoming the only person in the company who can do certain things. At the beginning I felt proud and satisfied, but now I know that it has a very bad effect on my work-life balance. People quickly get used to the fact that in any situation they will put out the phone, call a superhero who will definitely help. I don't want to be a man who can't afford a vacation. Yeah, welcome to this right here. This is you're growing up so fast, my friend. It's so nice to see. See, this is the thing that every software developer, well, not every software developer, but some people actually want to be the superhero. But here's the kicker. It's great for your ego to be the most important person in the company. If you're lucky, they will even appreciate you for it, but in many cases they will see you as just a garbage dump or something like they just kind of throw something in and they get stuff back. That's it. In bad companies, they don't even know how valuable you are until you're gone. Uh, but as you were describing, the position that you're in is that now, because you're not actually spreading the knowledge, this is the thing that I find hilarious. There's so many, I've talked to developers who like have this idea that you should keep information to yourself and be a little bit like conscious about what you're sharing with other developers, because I mean your value comes from how good you are and how important you are to the company, right? Well, yeah, but the thing is, if you're the only one who knows how to do things, then as you're saying, that takes away everything, because now you have to be available, and that has honest to God, guys, this is just me, that usually has more of a negative impact than anything positive that comes out of it. You think that that's going to give you a higher salary and like all of these sorts of things, and if you're extraordinarily lucky, it might, but in many cases it's not going to give you anything more than more responsibilities. And sure, if you're good at managing the whole situation, you might be able to get some people to like you, but at the end of the day, you're sacrificing in many cases a lot of your personal life. If you want this, the embodiment of this situation, try being a operations person or a DevOps engineer in a really poorly run company. You're constantly putting out fires. You're constantly being called up on every single hour of the day to fix things, or being like fixing production issues like all the time. That is the life of an operations person or a DevOps engineer in a company who has a poorly working system. It is a shit show, a complete shit show. Now, what you are identifying is that that's not so fun for you if you have any desire to have a work-life balance. And the only solution that I have for you is to do, like, I can give you concrete tips, but it very much depends on like what your specific circumstances are. But I'll just give you the things that I know that are fairly universal, and they work 100% of the time, and I've never been in a situation where they haven't worked. So first and foremost, your main problem is that you are indispensable. Hopefully that is obvious to you. So the first thing you want to do is to stop being indispensable. Now, the best way to do that is to figure out, okay, what are the common tasks that I perform that I can move to something else? Ideally, that should be documentation, tooling, co-workers, etc., etc. You need to figure out a way to move the things that you know so well to something else, so you don't have to be the go-to for everything. The hard part about this is if, let's say, that all your stakeholders are non-technical people and you're the only tech person, then that's almost impossible. because your problem is that you can't teach them to do things themselves. In that scenario, you have to figure out, like, are there like third-party services that we could buy, that, like, if you can get a budget, are there tools that we can create, or is there like simple things we could like document or something like that? Can you automate some of this stuff yourself maybe, so that it goes a little bit faster? These are things that you could be doing to try to fix that sort of situation. If you're lucky and you have, like, if you work as part of a team and that's a classic one, you have one developer who knows the system really, really well and always has to do things that are related to this part of the system because nobody else knows it. Well, what I like to do is to create it's not on call, but a responsibility rotation. And I do that for literally anything where I identify a coworker who is too critical for something and run support in some fashion. And it's usually operations, it's usually like custom integration or customer specific things. What we do is that we assign a handle in like an instant messaging or whatever, and we say, okay, every week or every certain rotation, one person who is not the person who is an expert is now on call, or like just imagine being on call. That means that whatever support requests that come in for this thing goes to that person. And in the beginning, that's going to be a little bit ineffective because that person is most likely not going to know as much as the person who knows everything. So in the beginning, that second person who knows all this stuff is going to get a lot of questions. But that's part of it, because now you're forcing the communication to not go directly to the best source of information. It has to take a little bit of a side track to get through somebody who doesn't have the information. And before you know it, that person is going to be able to answer more and more questions and deal with more and more support requests without going to the best source of information. And all of a sudden that person doesn't even have to be consulted anymore, because you've trained the other person. And that is actually, that's the goal of hiring juniors and training them with senior staff. It's the same thing, right? And it's hands down the best method I've ever been seen, and it works literally for anything. It doesn't have to be software development. It's the same thing for literally anything you can think of, where you have coworkers who need like domain knowledge within a certain area, and there's always one person who knows everything, because it's always a danger to have that one person who knows everything and is treated like go-to for all those things, not just for that person's personal life, for the company at large as well. So what I want you to take away from this is that congratulations, you have realized that being a superhero or being the go-to for everything, it's nice for your ego in the beginning, and then when that thrill wears off, you start to realize all the problems that come with being too important. And I like to say that wear it as a scar, as a mark that you've been growing in your personal development, because it's like being a teenager. In the beginning, everything is about being cool, a lot of sex, drugs, rock and roll, all that stuff, and then you get old and you start to realize that, hey, there's a lot of other stuff that matters as well, and some of the stuff that you used to care about is not as important anymore. That's where you are right now. If you want to solve this problem, you need to do the only thing that you can do. You need to move your domain knowledge somewhere else. If you can document things, document things. If you can automate things or buy services that makes your job easier, or like empowers other stakeholders to do the job without you, these are good investment. I like to say, document every single thing that you do as step lists, like the things that you repeatedly do and that somebody else could do. Make it to like just a step guide, a wizard. Do this, then do that, then do that, then do that. That's all you have to do, and then move it to a place where they can read it, and then you just refer to that document so they can take care of it without you. If you have coworkers, start introducing a rotation where people are on call or being a support person, where you move around the responsibility of taking care of all these requests. And in the beginning, it's going to take a little bit longer because nobody's except for you is going to know all that much. But before you know it, everybody's going to be able to do the job without you, and all of a sudden you can actually get vacation or be able to sleep a full night without having that phone call in the middle of whatever you're doing. Have a great day.